20th edition of Slow Home Studio.
My name is John Brown and this is Matthew North, and in today's online workshop we're going to be answering a question about the Butcher House project that was featured earlier in the week.
Jane from Sacramento, California emailed us with a question about the project, and she wrote, "I love the Butcher House by Linebox Studio, however I'm a bit confused about the notch in the top of the main floor plan. What's the reason for this? In such a narrow house, wouldn't it make more sense to maximize the width of the living spaces?"
We thought that was a really good question and one that we should ask Andrew about and then come back and report to you. So here's the floor plan, and actually what Andrew was saying is that this was originally a butcher's shop. There was an existing part of the house here, and then the addition was added in the back. It was originally a two-family house, and then when his client bought it, they converted it into a
single-family house.
Into a single-family house. And so the question is actually about this notch right there, and given how narrow this is it a good idea, or why did the architect decide to pull that in?
Very interesting. So Andrew told us that the client is a gardener, an avid gardener. And part of the architectural idea of this house was to create a whole series of gardens within the floor plan. So this was actually one way that he was able to create a garden space in the center of the plan, which typically in a long, narrow house, as we know, wouldn't have much access to daylight and would not be a typical place that you would think would be any garden.
No, that's right. So it's probably about 3.5 feet deep, I would say, stepped in from
the width of the
that
stair.
side, the width of the stair. And I think that's actually the first clue architecturally why you would want to do that. Sometimes it's actually a good idea to take something away if it gives you a clear articulation of the various spaces. So look from here at the entry and how the entry, the stair, lines up with that garden and really creates a kind of meaningful way of coming in.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you come in the front door, you're going to have a view to an outdoor space and sort of this idea
right
of this
there.
sort of courtyard. I mean, it's really unusual. You don't expect that in a narrow lot infill house.
That's right, and actually I think the notion of calling it a courtyard is a really good one because it actually works better it actually is being a kind of pocket courtyard.
It is a pocket courtyard, and I mean the thing is that typically with courtyard spaces, like we've seen house plans from architects where the courtyard is like in the middle of the plan, and that's a difficult thing technically to do. But you can always notch away a little bit of the side yard space with windows and create that sort of idea of a courtyard without actually going to all the technical difficulties of drainage and all that other stuff.
And just going back to the overall site plan for a second, because the property line is out here, probably about 4 feet there on that side, or maybe a little bit less in this situation. By putting it on the side, you actually have that much space to your property line. And if there's another house probably about there, you're actually able to have, you don't get to use that part of your garden, but you're actually able to have that much space.
The sense of space. And then there's also a technical thing with the building code, because if you're able to pull your side yard wall in 3.5 feet, what it does is it increases the amount of glass that you can put on your side yard elevation, because in most jurisdictions you can only have between 3 and 5% glass, and that's a fire code issue. So if you pull the wall in, you're actually able to get more glass. So in an area where there typically would be no windows, you're actually able to add windows, which is a great idea.
And we can see that here. And so this is that side yard, or the side window with the stair coming down right there. And now we're looking, and this is the dining room, and a kind of series of random-sized windows. Now they are small because you are not allowed to have that
like a full wall of glass.
A full wall of glass, but you can.
You're still going to get light. And then I think the last point to make is I think that the idea of having it where the dining room space is totally appropriate, because the dining room, the scale of the dining room is less than a living space. So if you can imagine that space being the same width as the living room, for a dining room table for the proportion, it would be wasted space. It would be wasted space. So this is actually a really nice way of scaling down the width of the house and adding daylight and making a space that's appropriate for the size of the dining table.
So you can have the kitchen, the dining room,
and there's still circulation.
No, it works particularly well. Well, I think that's about wraps it up for today. Be sure and join us tomorrow. We are going to have our final location segment in our Design Minute, looking at my house.
Yeah, and then on Friday, we're going to be posting the plans for our Saturday Live Design Workshop. And our Saturday Live Design Workshop will be coming at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, so that's 8 a.m. Pacific, that's 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to be redesigning a 1930s bungalow master ensuite from Montreal.
It's actually a two-story.
Two-story, sorry.
It's interesting nonetheless. So we'll see you on Friday.